I have here at the start of the show about 7 large jalapenos. They're pretty large sized, and this is going to yield about 14 jalapeno poppers for me. So I can either cut off the stem and slit it into a half. That works fine as well, but what I like to do is leave the stem on and slit it into half, because actually the stem is going to help me handle the jalapenos when we're going to coat it with our batter. So once I've slit the jalapeno into half, I'm going to take out the seeds and the veins from inside, like so. And once my jalapenos are seeded and veined, I'm ready to move on to make my stuffing. For the stuffing, I have here about 10 pounds of cream cheese. 8 pounds is just fine. I just happen to have 10 pounds, so I'm just using this. And to this, I'm going to add half a cup of sharp cheddar cheese. If you're vegetarian, make sure the cheddar cheese is animal and rennet free. And next we're going to add about half a teaspoon of ground black pepper and just a little bit of salt. You don't need too much, maybe a fourth of a teaspoon, and half a teaspoon of smoked paprika. The smoked paprika and the salt is totally optional. You can skip if you want. And we're just going to mix everything together until it's well combined. And if you like a little bit of heat, a little bit of extra heat, just take some of the seeds from that you've taken out from the jalapeno before and put it in. So I'm not adding too much here. I just wanted to show it to you, but you can add as little or as much as you want. So once we have our stuffing and our hulled jalapenos, we're going to stuff the jalapenos with the cream cheese filling. For each jalapeno, I think I added about 1.5 tablespoon of the cream cheese. As you can see, I really mounted up my cream cheese filling into big rounds, but you can add as little as you want and make them kind of flat. Mine, as you can see here, I really mounted it up because I had 10 ounces instead of 8 ounces of the cream cheese filling. So if you are making this a few days ahead, this is where you can, at this point, you can just put it in the freezer in a sealed container and just continue with the next steps after you just take it out of the freezer. So for the breading, I'm starting with 1 cup of, I'm using chickpea flour, or you may know that as Besan. And to this, I'm adding just a little bit of salt, perhaps a fourth of a teaspoon, and a fourth of a teaspoon of ground black pepper, and just a little bit of the smoked paprika. I'm gonna mix everything together. And once my spices are mixed in with the chickpea flour, I'm gonna take half a cup of water, and I'm gonna add water bit by bit. The reason we want to add water slowly is, first, we don't want to add too much. You can always add more later, but you can take away a lot of water if you add them. And second, as you're mixing the flour, you want to make sure that you don't have any lumps in the batter. So adding water slowly helps to make sure that the lumps are eliminated as you're going along. So I ended up using the whole half cup, and then this is the second half cup I'm using. I'm just adding about half a tablespoon here at this point. The batter is kind of coming together, and I'm using another half a tablespoon here. So we don't want the batter to be too thick or runny thin. Adding a little bit more water. I think in total I used about half a cup plus an additional tablespoon and a half. So this is the consistency we're looking for. It's kind of thin, but not runny thin and not too thick. So in a separate shallow dish, I'm taking 1 cup of breadcrumbs. To that, I'm adding a fourth of a cup of nutritional yeast. And since nutritional yeast is already has a lot of flavor, I'm not adding anything else and just giving this a mix. Now I have my breading station ready here, so I'm going to dip my jalapeno with the cream cheese into my Besan mixture, or my chickpea flour mixture, and I'm going to coat everything. As you can see, this is where the stem really comes into handy. I can use that to kind of swirl it around in the batter. And then I drip off the excess and put it into the breadcrumb mixture. And I roll it until everything is well coated. And with this chickpea flour, I actually don't need to double dip. The breading sticks to the jalapeno quite well, even just on the first try. As you can see here, it's nicely coated. So I'm going to put this in a separate bowl and continue doing this for all of my jalapenos. So this is the last jalapeno I have, and actually the chickpea mixture was just enough for all of the 14 jalapeno poppers, but I did end up adding about half a cup of the breadcrumb mixture because the 1 cup wasn't enough. So this is when you would traditionally deep fry these until they're golden brown. Because I'm using the air fryer, I'm going to put this, the slit side down first, into my air fryer rack. The reason we're doing the slit side down first is because as the jalapeno heat, the cream cheese, especially the cheddar cheese, starts melting, and if you do it the other way around, it'll melt and stick to the bottom. So these go into the air fryer at 375 degrees Fahrenheit for about 8 minutes on one side. We take them out and flip it over, and then this is when it comes out after 8 minutes, and we're just going to flip it over. As you can see, they're nice and golden brown and kind of crunchy on the top. We're going to flip all of the jalapeno poppers over and put it again in the air fryer for an additional 5 minutes on this side. And I'll show you what it looks like when they're ready. So our jalapeno poppers are out of the oven after another 5 minutes on the other side, and look at these. These are nice and golden brown, very crispy on the outside. You can even freeze them. You can see some of the cheese kind of melting and oozing out. These are perfect. I hope you enjoyed this recipe, and if you do like this recipe, do give it a thumbs up so it can help YouTube share it with more people. And as always, say a little prayer and share the love.
Crunchy, has this pizza taste on the outside, and the sour cream or whatever cream is in the middle gives a real boost in the taste. Yeah.
Can you hear how crunchy these are?